Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our November 20th lesson in A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students. Reading out of the original edition, lesson 324. I merely follow, for I would not lead. Can we say that? Can we say that? That I would merely follow, for I would not lead? Knowing that God's way is our way. So we want to follow. I merely follow, for I would not lead. And I hope that you got a lot out of yesterday's lesson. I gladly make the, in quotes, sacrifice of fear, the, in quotes, cost of following God. All right, so I merely follow, for I would not lead. Father, you are the one who gave the plan for my salvation to me. You have set the way I am to go, the role to take, and every step in my appointed path. I cannot lose the way. I can but choose to wander off a while and then return. I can choose to wander off a while and then return. Your loving voice will always call me back and guide my feet aright. Are you listening? Your loving voice will always call me back and guide my feet aright. My brothers all can follow in the way I lead them, yet I merely follow in the way to you as you direct me and would have me go. So let us follow one who knows the way. We need not tarry, and we cannot stay except an instant from his loving hands, or from his loving hand. We walk together, for we follow him. And it is he who makes the ending sure and guarantees a safe returning home. I merely follow, for I would not lead. Let's go take a look in chapter 9, the correction of error, ready for section 5, the awareness of the Holy Spirit. And we're ready to pick up on paragraph 36. We'll start in 35. If you'd like to follow along while you're turning there, let me just tell you a moment about a really interesting broccoli that is a favorite to a lot of chefs because it has a Fibonacci spiral sequence to it. Spiral. It's got a real neat, unique look. It's called Romanesco Italia. Romanesco Italia. I found this in the Baker's Creek. It says the true and popular Italian heirloom with spiraling apple green heads that are so superbly flavored. Its fractal form is a fascinating logarithmic Fibonacci spiral. This variety is widely grown in northern Italy, a must with many of the finest chefs. Anyway, I wish I had one to show you, but I don't have one growing. But next year I'll have one. And the true and popular Italian heirloom, Romanesco Italia. I'm also going to grow Calabrese green sprouting, which is an Italian heirloom brought to America in the 1880s. 5 to 8 inch heads and many side shoots. So I like the side shoots. That extends the season considerably. I found this in the Ferry Morris seed catalog of 1950. It says, "We are pioneer American growers of this important vegetable," talking about broccoli. "In the short span of 20 years, this is back in 1950, in the short span of 20 years, green broccoli advanced in status from an unknown to occupy a place with the dozen leading American vegetables." So that's kind of an interesting. It wasn't a really major plant in the Americas until evidently the early the mid 1900s. Okay. Let's take a look now at our, I'm gonna keep showing you these until they sprout. I'm looking at them through the glass. Like I said, I water them twice a day. They haven't started to open up yet, we may find after a few days, I usually go about a week. And if they don't sprout by them, I consider they were just dead seeds. Which sometimes, if you stored them in a hot place, or if they got shipped and they got in a hot location, and they could have lost their vitality, their life. Okay, paragraph 35. You are not yet awake, but you can learn how to awaken. Very simply, the Holy Spirit teaches you to awaken others. That's how you learn to awaken, by awakening others. As you see them waken, you will learn what waking means. And because you have willed to wake them, their gratitude and their appreciation of what you have given them will teach you its value. They will become the witnesses to your reality as you were created witnesses to God's. Yet when the sonship comes together and accepts its oneness, it will be known by its creations, who witness to its reality as the Son does to the Father. 36. Miracles have no place in eternity because they are reparative. Yet while you still need healing, your miracles are the only witnesses to your reality which you can recognize. You cannot perform a miracle for yourself, because miracles are a way of giving acceptance and receiving it. Okay, did you catch that? You cannot perform a miracle for yourself, because miracles are a way of giving acceptance and receiving it. In time, the giving comes first, though they are simultaneous in eternity, where they cannot be separated. When you have learned that they are the same, the need for time is over. So the reason that we've made time is so that we can recognize that when you think a thought, it has an immediate effect. But we're learning this in this world. We've come to this world probably because we didn't like the idea that every time we made a thought, something happened, and if we made a negative thought, something negative happened. And we tried to get away from that, probably. I mean, I'm just kind of suspecting. It doesn't really say that here. But, we've made time to teach us that time is not even necessary. But it's useful in this world to teach us. And what does he say here? In time, the giving comes first, though they are simultaneous in eternity, where they cannot be separated, giving and receiving. They're one in truth. Remember, that was one of our lessons. When you've learned that they are the same, the need for time is over. So we're going to actually, when you don't need time anymore, it won't even be an issue. It won't even be a thing anymore. We'll live in eternity where giving and receiving are seen as simultaneous. Right now, we, by faith, realize that what we send out is what we're going to receive back. And it seems to take time. You send out a negative thought or a positive thought, it seems to take a while to mature and then come back to have its effect. But he says that in eternity, in truth, in reality, that it happens simultaneous. As a matter of fact, he goes on in paragraph 37. He says, eternity is one time, its only dimension being always. This cannot mean anything to you, however, until you remember God's open arms and finally know his open mind. Like him, you are always in his mind and with a mind like his. In your open mind are your creations in perfect communication, born of perfect understanding. Could you but accept one of them, you would not want anything the world has to offer. In your open mind are your creations. I'm going to read it again. In perfect communication, born of perfect understanding. In your open mind are your creations in perfect communication, born of perfect understanding. Could you but accept one of them, one of your perfect creations, you would not want anything the world has to offer. Everything else would be totally meaningless. Wow, we want to start seeing things from that perspective. God's meaning is incomplete without you, and you are incomplete without your creations. Accept your brothers in this world and accept nothing else. For in Him you will find your creations, because He created them with you. You will never know that you are co-creator with God until you learn that your brother is a co-creator with you. So we want to start seeing our co-creation with our brothers and our sisters, but we want to see it with the whole sonship. And by doing that, he says that you will never know that you are co-creator with God until you learn that your brother is a co-creator with you. So we work with what we have, and what we see is our brothers. So we want to start recognizing that their creations and our creations are a creation that is done together, and that we can find God through seeing God in each other. All right, tomorrow we'll be ready for salvation and God's will, section 6. All right, let's go take a look now at what is I merely follow, for I would not lead. What is creation? Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts, in number infinite and everywhere without all limits. Only love creates, and only like itself. There was no time when all that it created was not there, nor will there be a time when anything that it created suffers any change. Forever and forever are God's thoughts exactly as they were and as they are, unchanged through time and after time is done. God's thoughts are given all the power that their own Creator has, for He would add to love by its extension. Thus His Son shares in creation and must therefore share in power to create. What God has willed to be forever one will still be one when time is over, and will not be changed throughout the course of time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began. Creation is the opposite of all illusions, for creation is the truth. Creation is the Holy Son of God, for in creation is His will complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole. Its oneness is forever guaranteed inviolate, forever held within His holy will, beyond all possibility of harm, of separation, imperfection, and of any spot upon its sinlessness. We are creation, we the sons of God. We seem to be discreet and unaware of our eternal unity with Him. Yet back of all our doubts, past all our fears, there still is certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their Creator. Let our function be only to let this memory return. Let our function be only to let this memory return. What memory? For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their Creator. Let our function be only to let this memory return, only to let God's will be done on earth, only to be restored to sanity, and to be but as God created us. I know I paused there yesterday when we were reading too, and I just want to really encourage you to spend those quiet times letting your function be only to let this memory return to us. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their Creator. So, a little longer meditation in the morning and another one in the evening and then throughout the day, a reminder every hour of your lesson for the day will help to bring this memory to you. Today is I merely follow, for I would not lead. In the last paragraph under what is creation, our Father calls to us. Our Father calls to us. Are you listening? Our Father calls to us. We hear His voice, and we forgive creation in the name of its Creator, holiness itself, whose holiness His own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. And lesson 324, I merely follow, for I would not lead. And I thought of one more thing I wanted to tell you about this. I'm going to real quickly before we go. I use, you can buy some stainless steel little wire little wire lids for you put those on. But I tell you what I use, and it works just fine. I take a piece of metal screen wire and just take a pair of tin snips and cut it out into a circle, mark it with a felt tip pen by laying the lid down on the screen wire. Take a felt tip pen, mark around it, then cut it around there so that it fits in nicely, and you've got you a nice quick mason jar sprouting lid. So I did want to mention that to you because those things can be hard to find. You can buy them a lot of times just at a place that sells canning jar supplies. But if you're not able to find them, what I just told you will work. My brother doesn't so much think that that's such a good idea because it's galvanized steel, and he thinks stainless would be better. So, and it probably is. But if you can't find them, I don't think that's going to be a real big issue. I merely follow, for I would not lead. The prayer says, Father, you are the one who gave the plan for my salvation to me. You have set the way I am to go, the role to take, and every step in my appointed path. I cannot lose the way. I can but choose to wander off a while and then return. Your loving voice will always call me back and guide my feet aright. My brothers all can follow in the way I lead them. Yet I merely follow in the way to you as you direct me and would have me go. So let us follow one who knows the way. We need not tarry, and we cannot stray except an instant from his loving hand. We walk together, for we follow him. And it is he who makes the ending sure and guarantees a safe returning home. I merely follow, for I would not lead. I merely follow, for I would not lead. Thank you all so much. I merely follow, for I would not lead.